In this week's program, we're visiting with Game Warden Supervisor Jackie Lundstrom to talk ice safety. I'm Mike Anderson with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department.
Over the last couple weeks, temperatures have finally dropped enough to start cooling off those ponds and rivers to start forming some ice. We recommend, though, you make sure you're checking that ice as you go out on it because not all ice is formed at the same rate. You need at least a minimum of 4 inches to hold average sized person. And that's, if you're in a group, you need to make sure you go out on single file. You need around 6 inches to hold the average snowmobile, smaller ATV. Again, you don't want to piggyback too closely if you're going out on that particular ice. Up to 12 inches for a small car or small pickup, and definitely in that 15-inch plus for a larger pickup. Now that's not including towing a trailer, your ice house, out onto that ice as well. We encourage you to check it every so often as you go out. Make sure that while you're out on the ice, you have a set of ice picks with you, maybe a rope with, something to check that ice depth, whether it's an ice chisel or an auger. The recommendation these days is about every 150 feet for sure. I would recommend a little bit closer than that, checking ice as you're going out on. Some of the things that can affect ice formation is snow cover. It acts like a blanket, and so that ice does not form as quickly or as strong as it could otherwise. Ice that's under bridges or in coulees, with that flowing water, that will keep that ice at a thinner thickness. So even though maybe 100 yards from the bridge, it's 15 inches, it could be 6 inches underneath the bridges. So that's something to keep in mind, especially up on that Devil's Lake where we seem to have vehicles and snowmobiles go through quite frequently. So some of the other things to keep in mind are pressure ridges. We recommend that you stay away from those. I know once in a while it's kind of inevitable, but those larger pressure ridges can open up and there could be open water on the other side of it, or open up wide enough that you can't get back to shore. For those of you that like to go out hunting in that winter time frame, ice around those cattails will certainly be some of the first things that freeze up, but they're also some of the first things that thin down and warm up because of the heat from the cattails. So if you're out hunting, we always also encourage you to have some safety equipment with you. Some water bodies do have natural springs in them. While the person out of the area may not know where those are, it's always important to make sure you're checking those ice depths. So just like open water recommendations for safety equipment, we do have ice safety recommendations as well. We do recommend that you have some sort of flotation device, whether it's wearing a life jacket or having a throwable cushion, a rope with you, ice picks, that chisel. Make sure people know where you're going. Make sure, just like you file a float plan, you let somebody know where you're going to be ice fishing. And if you plan on moving during the day to a different body of water, make sure you at least send a text to say, hey, where you're going. Should somebody go through the ice, whether it's if you're on foot, make sure that you try not to panic. Hypothermia can set in pretty quickly. You want to make sure that you try to lie as flat as you can within the open hole, and get yourself pulled out. That's why we recommend those ice picks. Once you get to yourself out of the hole, then roll away from the hole and then get to back to shore and get into some dry clothes as quickly as possible. If you're a fishing partner or bystander and you see an incident happen such as that, we always encourage assistance, but not to make sure that you end up in the open water as well. Don't be afraid to call 911 emergency situations. I know a lot of people kind of steer away from that, but we would rather get emergency personnel on the way, even if you get that person out or get yourself out of that situation. At least somebody is on the way to help you. Whether it's hunting or fishing in North Dakota outdoors, it's important to get home safely.